A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. In a dramatic meeting held in Tehran, Iranian Foreign Minister Seyed Abbas Araghchi condemned Israel's recent military aggression against Iran, asserting that the actions could have serious ramifications for regional stability. He accused the United States of complicity in the Israeli strikes, which he claimed occurred while Iran was engaged in crucial negotiations with the U.S. Araghchi expressed deep concern over Israel's blatant disregard for international law, stating, "This strike came during ongoing talks. Israel has again shown it does not recognize any limits in violating international law." He emphasized that the recent attacks on Iranian nuclear facilities marked a significant breach of international norms and criticized the silence of the UN Security Council on the matter. Araghchi thanked countries that condemned the Israeli aggression but expressed disappointment at certain Western governments that shifted the blame to Iran instead of holding Israel accountable. He warned that any attempt to escalate the conflict into the Persian Gulf would be a grave strategic mistake. The Iranian foreign minister highlighted Israel's recent offensive actions against Iran's oil infrastructure, specifically mentioning attacks on the Tehran refinery and other critical sites in Asserting. In response, he indicated that Iran was compelled to retaliate with strikes on both military and economic targets within the Israeli-occupied territories. The Persian Gulf is an extremely sensitive and complex region. Any military escalation here could engulf not only the Middle East but the entire world, he cautioned. Araghchi presented what he described as documented evidence of American logistical and intelligence support for the Israeli strikes, claiming that Iran had closely monitored the situation and had indications of U.S. involvement through regional bases. He pointed out that the U.S. president had publicly acknowledged that these attacks would not have been possible without American equipment and that further operations were planned. Despite the rising tensions, Araghchi affirmed that Iran does not seek a broader conflict, stating, "Our responses have been limited to Israeli territory and focused on military and, recently, economic targets in response to their escalation. We do not want a regional war, unless it is forced upon us." He reiterated Iran's commitment to self-defense, stating, "If the aggression stops, so will our response." Furthermore, Araghchi accused Israel of attempting to sabotage nuclear negotiations over the years, claiming that every time Iran approached meaningful diplomatic progress, Israel interfered through sabotage, assassinations, or military attacks. He recalled that when negotiations were ongoing in Vienna, Israel bombed the power system at Natanz, damaging several centrifuges. In retaliation, Iran reportedly ramped up uranium enrichment to 60% and upgraded its centrifuge systems. As the conflict continues, Iran has endured 3 days of Israeli attacks that have resulted in over 240 Iranian deaths, including members of its military leadership. In a show of military capability, Iran has responded with missile strikes that have caused significant damage in major Israeli cities such as Tel Aviv and Haifa. The extent of the damage on both sides remains unclear, as accurate information is difficult to obtain amidst the ongoing information warfare. Iran is believed to possess the largest missile program in the Middle East, with thousands of ballistic missiles at its disposal. Analysts suggest that Iran could sustain its attacks on Israel for weeks, potentially resulting in significant damage to Israeli infrastructure and civilian areas that have not previously experienced such intense conflict. The effectiveness of Iran's advanced missile technology has also come to the fore, with the Hajj Qassam missile successfully evading Israeli air defenses during recent strikes. Despite the challenges, Iran's military capabilities, including thousands of drones and a variety of missiles, indicate that it can inflict damage on Israel and challenge the notion that it lacks the strength to continue the fight in the short term. Meanwhile, Israel's Iron Dome defense system is being put to the test, but the country is relying on support from the United States to intercept missile attacks. President Donald Trump has maintained that the U.S. is not a direct participant in the Israel-Iran conflict, warning that severe consequences will follow if Iran attacks U.S. interests in the region. Iran is cautious about engaging U.S. forces directly, as Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei typically favors a more cautious approach. A direct confrontation with the U.S. could lead to a joint Israeli-U.S. attack capable of devastating Iran's nuclear infrastructure. Iran has other strategic options, including the threat to close the Strait of Hormuz, a critical passage for global oil transit. Experts believe that such an action could cause oil prices to spike significantly. While Iran seeks to maintain its military posture, it is also looking for a diplomatic solution to avoid a larger conflict that could lead to widespread devastation. The Iranian government has made it clear that it will reciprocate if Israel ceases its attacks, indicating a willingness to return to nuclear negotiations with the U.S. However, the resolution of the conflict largely hinges on the actions of the U.S. and President Trump's unpredictable stance. Iran is aware that while it can sustain its military efforts, the support of the U.S. allows Israel to replenish its munitions more easily. Ultimately, Iran is in search of an off-ramp to end the conflict, which poses risks not only to its economy, but also to regional stability, as both Israel and the U.S. possess nuclear capabilities. The situation remains fluid, with the potential for significant escalation or a diplomatic resolution depending on the actions of the involved parties. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.